Ed Weinberg for CTRE Investors, and I'm a real estate agent and an investor. I'm an agent at Trumbull, Keller Williams in Trumbull, and today I'm interviewing Chris Salem. He's a mindset trainer, a world-class keynote speaker, award-winning author, radio show host, and wellness advocate. And so I'm going to bring Chris in here. And so tell me, Chris, you've coined this term prospreneur. What does that mean?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Ed. Yeah, well, prospreneur, this was something that woke me up out of a quiet sleep that I had about 5 years ago. And I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. It was a term that came to me because I realized if one was going to experience true prosperity in their life, whatever that means to them, they have to be able to put their wellness or health first. And when I say wellness, it's the emotional side of your wellness, your physical side, your spiritual side, your financial side. And there's 8 pillars of wellness all together. So when those 8 pillars of wellness are in alignment with your wealth principles, so wealth being money, that being the freedom to be who you are, how you want to spend your life. When that wellness and wealth principles are in alignment is when you can experience true prosperity. So that was the term that I came up with, that I work with people to help aspire them to become their better self, serve their purpose, add more value to their clients in the world, and to really experience what true prosperity is all about. Okay.
So before we continue any further, if you're out there, just let us know it works. Give us a like or two, just so we know that you can hear me. Test 1, 2, 3. And so what do you? How can what you teach improve our lives, Chris?
Well, I mean, for any of the real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, real estate investors, sales professionals, whatever the case may be, if you're listening, depending upon where you're at, you probably sometimes feel that you could be playing at a bigger level, or maybe perhaps something's holding you back. You don't know what it is, but you know that you're not where you want to be, or you've had some great success, but you really want to get to the next level. So what I'd like to talk about today is how one can overcome limited beliefs or mindset barriers that may be holding you back. Now, you may not know what they are because they're in your subconscious mindset, but you're just not aware of where you want to be. So I'd like to talk a little bit today about a process to at least get you started where you can recognize where these limited beliefs come from, how you could go about resolving them, and to adopt better ways, habits, disciplines to operate within the solution so you can have sustainable success at the next level.
Okay. Why before we go any further, if anybody wants to join us live, if you text me, I may be able to send you a link, and maybe you can join us live on Facebook also. All right. So what's the next step, Chris?
So the next step is, I always tell people, if you want to be aware that you're not where you want to be right now, or you aspire to be at another level. So the key is to be aware of that. Second, you want to be able to accept where you're at. You don't need to know what the problem is. You just need to accept that you're here right now, and that you're going to make a commitment full-heartedly to embark on a process that is going to allow you to find the root cause to your limited beliefs and your limited patterns that keep you stagnant. So again, it's awareness, acceptance, and committing to the process. And so what the process is the ability to start beginning a daily routine of meditation and journaling. Now, you don't need to learn how to master the art of meditation in one day. It's going to take some time. But the whole idea is to learn how to be in the moment, because when you learn how to be in the moment, you're going to have more clarity. You're going to become more decisive, and that's going to lead to follow through. So if you're a real estate professional, you need to have clarity. Even a mortgage professional or a sales professional, you need to have that clarity, be able to see the bigger picture. When there's clutter in the mindset, you don't have that ability to see those opportunities around you. You don't have the ability to see an opportunity around a setback or a challenge that you may be facing right now. You may be reacting to it in a negative way. But when you come from a clear mindset through meditation, you have that ability to see the bigger picture. So this is what's really important. Now, meditation in itself is not going to be the solve all your problems. In combination with that meditation, you're going to want to journal every day after you meditate. You want to write down whatever comes to mind. You don't want to overthink it. You don't want to overanalyze it. Whatever comes to mind, you write down, or how you feel. Because in time, we're going to be able to look back at what you wrote down, and you can begin to see yourself from a third-party perspective, as you're somebody else looking at yourself, and begin to see where the trends are and how you think and what you do on a daily basis that most likely is not where you want to be. So the meditation and the journaling are going to help you to get the subconscious mindset to reveal to you in time, to the conscious mindset, where that root cause is. And the root cause is often tied back to childhood, either to a parent, either to a father, mother, or some type of authoritative figure. So let me give you an example, and if it's okay if I could share a story, this might open up the eyes of some people that are listening, especially for sales professionals, real estate professionals. So again, it doesn't have to be something traumatic that happened in your childhood, something that you consciously know that led to you not having the right level of self-esteem, self-confidence, or the self-image of yourself. It can be very subtle. So I had a gentleman that came to me over a year ago that I had coached with, and he had stated that, I do very well in my career. I'm a multi-six-figure earner in the software business. And he was doing a lot of six-figure deals. He had a wonderful family, wife and 2 kids. He came from a wonderful family himself. He grew up in a household where there wasn't any commotion, not a lot of issues, went to church every Sunday. He had a really good life. So I said to him, why are you coming to see me? What can we do to help you? He goes, well, I don't know if this is coming from an ego standpoint, but I just feel I'm not where I want to be. I know I can do even more than I'm doing now. To this point, I've been able to do many 6-figure deals, but I can't do a 7-figure deal. And I don't know why. Every time I'm presented the opportunity, something happens. I freeze and it doesn't happen. And he can't figure out what it is. So we went through a process of meditation and journaling, including some other things that I could talk about here a little bit, where in time, I remember him telling me, he goes, this is weird. I didn't even recall this, because I can remember when I was 9 years old and I'd be up at bat at a baseball game, and I'd have men on. My dad would always be behind the backstop rooting me on, but he would always be critiquing my stance. Like, you don't have the bat up high enough. Your head needs to be down. Your feet need to be shoulder width. And every time he was in that situation, he was never able to follow through and advance the runners. He would either ground out or strike out. Now, at the time, it didn't traumatize him in any way, but on some level, subconsciously, he internalized that without him even knowing it. So what we ended up finding out through this process is we found out that he had passive anger towards his father, and he had this unresolved resentment at a very minor level, at the subconscious level. So at the conscious level, he wasn't even aware that he was angry at his father. He wasn't even conscious that he had a resentment towards his father. They had a wonderful relationship. But at the subconscious mindset, completely different. And it was because of that unresolved passive anger and that resentment that subconsciously, that when he was put into a situation to do a 7-figure deal, that story, without him even consciously being aware of it, would play out, and he wasn't able to follow through. When we were able to unblock that, to truly address the root cause of releasing that passive anger and that resentment towards his father by him forgiving his father, not because of his father itself, but for himself, and truly forgiving him. This was not something you say, hey, Dad, I just want to forgive you for, of what happened back when I was a kid. There's more to the process, but that's something I talk about when I work with people. But in itself, within 4 months of going through that process of resolving the root cause to this barrier that was holding him back, a limited belief, in 4 months, he was able to close his first 7-figure deal. Now, there are some people that may be listening and say that's coincidental. I mean, that probably may happen regardless if he went through this process. But see, the true fact was this didn't happen. He had every time he would hit a roadblock, every time he was presented with a 7-figure deal. It wasn't until he went through this process that he did do a 7-figure deal. And I could tell you other stories where this happens on a very, very subtle level, where a lot of people, again, will be oblivious to what it is. So what I'm trying to say here is everybody, despite your upbringing, has a root cause, something that interrupts your belief system, that causes it to be more limited versus limitless. And that, of course, affects what and how and when you do things to the result of why you're not able to be where you want to be. So this is why it's so important. If you want to operate within the solution rather than manage the problem, you have to address it at the root cause. It's no different than a manufacturing process. You have a couple bottlenecks in a manufacturing process. You could still produce widgets. It may not be as efficient. It may not be as of higher quality. It may not produce as much revenue, but it still can produce and make money. It's the same thing with your personal life and your business, whether if it's with your wellness, with your relationships with others, yourself, and with your spouse, or in your business. If you want to go from a struggling relationship to a thriving relationship, going from mediocre, your wellness is okay to optimal wellness, and you want to take your business to another level, the only way you're going to be able to do that is to operate within the solution from within, not managing the problem. 99% of the world manages the problem, and many times are unconscious to it. They're implementing new success principles, embarking on new ideas, new strategies to improve their situations. But again, they're always managing the problem. And that's because they're not even aware they have a problem, many people. So the key is to come from a place of clarity, and that is done through the meditation, through the journaling, and incorporating certain types of disciplines, like making your bed every morning, or going to the gym on a regular basis, eating a healthy breakfast. Certain types of habits and disciplines done daily will roll up and lead to other types of habits that will be good for you in your business to take it to another level. So this is why this is something that is quite often overlooked by individuals, by corporations, but is so vitally important if somebody is serious about taking their game to another level. So this is why this is so important for anybody that's a real estate professional, mortgage professional, or a sales professional that's serious about making a difference and playing at a higher level.
Okay, so Alfredo is watching, and he says, "How do we become aware we have a problem?"
So, Alfredo, thank you for that question, and that's a really important question. So, again, the key is that many times we, as I mentioned, we're not aware that we have a problem. We need to be aware that we're not where we want to be. Whether, again, that's with your wellness, with your relationships, and your business, or a combination of all three. Being aware where you don't want to be. I can't stress that enough. Then you want to be able to accept where you're at, as I mentioned, and commit to a process to find out where the problem lies. There is a problem there. We just don't know what it is yet. But the meditation and the journaling are going to allow us in time to get the subconscious mindset to reveal that information to the conscious mindset. Just like the example I talked about, the gentleman who recalled being at bat at 9 years old. I mean, he had totally forgot about all that. That was never on his mind. It wasn't until that his subconscious mindset began to leak that information that he'd been internalizing that for all these years without even knowing it. So this is where we find the problem, the root cause to the problem, and then the ability to go within to resolve it by forgiving, truly forgiving from every ounce of your soul and being, and then adopting the right types of habits, disciplines, and behaviors that are going to lead you towards a sustainable success in whatever that means to you.
Okay, so for those of us just joining us live, we're talking with Chris Salem, mindset trainer, world-class keynote speaker, and you can find him at www.christophersalem.com. Is that the best place to find you, Chris?
Yeah, that would be the best place for people to find me. I offer a 31-day clarity email program. I feel, take advantage of it. It's free. It asks some really, some questions that are really going to get you to kind of pivot and start thinking about where you are and where you want to be. So, take advantage of that. It's on the homepage, and feel free to sign up. It's free.
Okay, so while you're meditating, I know a lot of people in journaling, they tell us to set goals. Is that another thing that we're going to be thinking about while we're meditating?
Yeah, I mean, the one of the things, as I mentioned, what makes people successful long term is not only persistence but consistence. Being consistent after being persistent. So the thing is once we're able to resolve the root cause to the problem and then to adopt the solution to serve our purpose towards that sustainable success that we seek, you also have to have a game plan. You have to have a life and business strategy. Now, the thing is too many people will develop, especially around this time, will come up with goals. But often the goals are very vague. They're not specific. They're not time-oriented. And more importantly, they're formulating these goals, still managing the problem. This is why people struggle. And this is why a lot of people end up allowing procrastination to set in to derail them from following through and taking action with those goals. So the key is that we want to develop our life and business strategy from the solution, not managing the problem. And these are going to be things that you're going to be incorporating daily habits and disciplines every day, and that you're going to map out every day what you're going to be doing so you can focus on those smaller attainable goals in the moment that will end up in the long run achieving what your long-term goal is. So I'm happy to go over that process, Ed, if you'd like me to explain it.
Okay. Why don't you explain it?
All right. So let's say you're operating from the solution. You've resolved the root cause to those barriers that hold you back. So we talked about when you go through this process, you're going to incorporate certain types of disciplines that you're going to be doing daily. Meditation, journaling. Those are going to be two things that you should be doing daily and getting better at it each and every day. You might want to get involved in some type of discipline that establishes your organizational skills. I make my bed every morning. I don't make it because I'm just trying to make my bed look neat. I do it because it sets my mindset to be clear and to be organized with everything else I'm doing in my business to add more value, thus which brings more revenue. It doesn't have to be making your bed. It could be something else. You can go down and organize your silverware in your drawer. Whatever. You can clean out the garage every morning. I don't know. Whatever.
So we're starting with something that's easy to do. Is that what it is?
Something that, I wouldn't say that.
Show an accomplishment?
Yeah. And then what you want to do is that these are going to be things that you're going to be doing daily. And then each and every day, you're going to be focusing on those tasks one at a time in the moment that are going to produce the best, most value to your business, and that will position you to yield more revenue or income from it. So the whole idea why we're doing this is to help people to focus on, achieving smaller attainable goals daily. Not too easy. There's got to be, you got to be out of your comfort zone, but not where we're trying to overwhelm ourselves to do too many things and then we achieve nothing. It's focusing on smaller attainable goals, being out of your comfort zone, and being in the moment. Because when you're in the moment, remember we talked about with mindfulness, you have more clarity, you're more decisive, and you have the ability to follow through and take action. When you operate from the past, stress and fear reside there. You operate in the future, that's where anxiety comes from. We're projecting something that has happened from the past that creates the anxiety. Procrastination is a byproduct of having anxiety. This is why a lot of people put off things next week, next year, and many times never end up getting to it at all. So the case is that when you're in the moment, you have the ability to focus on one task at a time and be able then to achieve that to move on to the next task. And when you follow that daily, that rolls up weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually to take you to where you want to be. So I'm a big believer that there's no such thing as a life goal and a business goal and treating them separate. They are one. And the reason why I say that is if something is not going right in your business, will that have an effect on your personal life, your wellness, and your relationships? Absolutely. If things are not going well at home, does that have an impact on your business? It does. It may not short term, but in the long run, it will. A lot of people will probably be oblivious to that. But if you treat it as one and begin to address your goal as one and be very specific to what that goal is, then you're going to be more likely to obtain it over a period of time, whatever that time that you've designated it. It's got to be very specific. And you have to use words like I am, I will, not I want or I'll try, because those words imply that I want something, but I don't really want to put the effort in. They have to be very action-oriented. They have to be definite. And they have to be something that you're committed to. So where the secret is with this life and business strategy, focusing on these smaller attainable goals, is being focused on the process to success, not the outcome. While we have the outcome in front of us and we know what we want, we have to be committed to the process in order to get us there. If we focus on the outcome itself, then we're going to fall victim to the past and the future again, and that's going to end up allowing procrastination to sidetrack us. So this is where it's very important to be in the moment.
All right. Do you have any final words for us, Chris?
Well, I would say that, the final words is, there's never a perfect time to start. Today is the time to start. And, don't allow your own excuses to get in your own way, because if, a lot of times people will say they're not excuses. It's just, it's a fact that, I can't do this because I have to do this. No. There are excuses, and you have to accept that, because everything comes down to priorities. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, you got to have the right priorities that matter, that are going to make a difference in your life, that is going to allow you to then produce better value and thus obviously yield higher income for yourself, or to improve your quality of your wellness, or to have better relationships with yourself and others. Again, it comes down to choices and priorities, and incorporating daily routines that serve you rather than work against you. All of these things working congruently together will lead to sustainable success. It's not something you can do, a couple times a week and then take some time off. It's something that's going to become part of your life every day. And as you do it, becomes so routine that you'll start to see the results over a period of time and how you're changing and evolving as a person.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Again, that's Chris Salem. You can find him at www.christophersalem.com. And thanks for joining us. So this has been, I'm Ed Weinberg. I'm a real estate investor. I am a real estate agent. And we do these shows typically evenings on the first and third Thursday, but sometimes we throw in a couple in between. So thanks again for joining us, Chris, and everybody have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Ed. It was a pleasure. Goodbye, everybody.